Oh, you?
Ready to roll?
I have another date for you.
Okay.
We may go beyond maybe.
Yeah, I do have one. Yeah, thanks.
Good afternoon. I call to order the Wednesday, May 24th, 2023 meeting of the City of Cleveland Board of Control. Will Mr. Secretary please call the roll?
Director Griffin.
Here.
Alabama.
Here.
Kane.
Here.
Interim Director Kramer.
Here.
Directors Williams. Here. Margolius.
Here.
Acting Director Dye.
Here.
Directors Hernandez.
Here.
Interim Director Romero. Here. Director Jackson.
Here.
McNamara.
Here.
Acting Director Majeski. We have a
Director Abenama, would you please speak to your resolution?
Good afternoon, Acting Mayor and Board. Department of Finance has two recommendations, 6523 and 6723, and we'll describe them.
Good afternoon, everybody. The acting mayor and board, Department of Finance has two resolutions. The first is 6523, approving a requirement contract to WB Mason for the 2023-2026 citywide purchase of various janitorial and cleaning supplies and equipment for the various divisions of city government for 2 years with one option to renew for one additional year in the amount of $375,550, as well as 6723, rejecting all bids received on April 20th, 2023 for the 2022 citywide safety equipment required by OSHA and TERP for the various divisions of the city government.
Are there any questions regarding the finance resolutions? There being no questions, if Mr. Secretary could please call the roll.
All in favor of adoption of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Adopted.
Director Kane, could you please speak to your resolution?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Acting Mayor, members of the board. The Department of Public Utilities has three recommendations for consideration. First, 61-23 is approving the public improvement contract to Nochi Enterprises, Inc. for large valve renewal program phase 3 for the Division of Water and approving Amrock Construction, Inc. as subcontractor in the amount of $5,598,318. I should note all three recommendations are horizontal construction with 30% CSP participation goal. Nochi in 6123 came in at 33.4. 62-23 is approving the public improvement contract with Nochi Enterprises, Inc. for 2023C water main renewal for the Division of Water and approving Amrock Construction, Inc. as subcontractor in the amount of $1,291,745.40. CSP participation at 32.7. 63-23, approving the public improvement contract with Harris Construction Company, Inc. for 2023D water main renewal for the Division of Water and approving various subcontractors in the amount of $8,118,061.65 at 33.2% CSP. Recommend approval.
Director Kane, I often ask you about, why our CSBs and MBEs aren't high enough, and on this one, I see that we have three at 30%. So I want to say thank you and recognize your outstanding efforts to make sure that city contracts are spread broadly and widely, so I appreciate that. Are there any questions with respect to the public utilities resolutions?
I have a question. This is Mike Ginto with Terrace Construction.
Yes, if you could please. Yes, could you please speak up a little louder? We have you on speaker, and we want to make sure that we hear your question.
Yes, on file 61-23, we'd like to protest that award. The bid documents called for a bid schedule of valves to be submitted that were going to be used on the project. And Nochi Enterprises bid named all valves that are not approved by the specification. So there's not a single valve on his schedule that is approved. So we don't see how a project can be awarded when they submitted all valves that don't meet the specifications.
Director Kane, I guess the question is whether it was a conforming bid or not.
Yes, thank you, Acting Mayor. Again, all of the bids were all evaluated, and Nochi Enterprises was determined to be the lowest compliant bidder after bid discounts were applied and meet all specification requirements.
But the bid schedule shows valves that are not approved in the specifications. specification on the gate valves approves cloud valves with witness shop test actuators and non-integral bypass. They submitted 8 valves with integral bypass that are not named as approved valves. And then they submitted 2 valves with non-integral bypass, which the drawings and specifications call out that those valves are to have integral bypass. So none of the valves meet the specification, and we don't know if the valve schedule was overlooked or if it was reviewed. And if it was reviewed, we don't understand how it could be awarded.
Yeah, thank you for your comments. Again, I have the specifications as outlined and reviewed by Department of Public Utilities Engineering as qualifying and meeting the specifications as outlined.
Thank you for the public comment, and if you'd like to make another comment, I can give you 3 minutes, but then we'll move forward with a vote by the Board of Control if you would like to have further comments.
We would just ask that it not be awarded right now and be reevaluated because the schedule clearly does not meet the specifications. And I could point out the specific specifications and drawings that it does not meet.
Yeah, again, this is Marty Kane from Public Utilities. I have to rely heavily on our engineering department to review the specifications. I have the paperwork in front of me. Any opportunity would have probably been before today. I believe that we work closely with you on all of these instances or through the various departments, but at this point, I have to support what I'm looking at, which is that the valves meet the specifications. And
okay. So do you have the valve schedule in front of you and the specific specifications in front of you?
yes.
Okay, because valve schedule, valve number 4, for example, shows a cloud valve with an integral bypass.
I hate to cut you off. It's just not the appropriate forum to go valve by valve. What I have is the recommendation from Department of Public Utilities Engineering, the Commissioner of the Division of Water, and he is the Director, to the Board of Control to approve.
Yeah. So Director Kane, you'd like to move forward with resolutions today?
I would, Acting Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Secretary, could you please call the roll?
All in favor of adoption of the resolution, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Adopted.
Interim Director Kramer, could you please speak to your resolution?
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Acting Mayor, members of the board, thank you. Port Control has one piece today, authorizing contract with WSP USA Inc. for professional services for design of all necessary infrastructures and construction administration services for the South Campus development area and approving various sub-consultants not to exceed $1.1 million. One thing I'd like to note on this is we did bid this particular project as design of this work and then subsequently the construction administration. However, budget does not allow us to move forward with the construction administration portion. And so the contract that we are proceeding with WSP is, the $1.1 million is only for the design portion of WSP's scope that they submitted. And so we're recommending for approval the $1.1 million for the design portion of it. Then to further note the OEO component, there is a possibility of federal funding for this project in the future. So we followed the OEO, our federal guidelines in terms of OEO participation, and they established a DBE goal of 20% and an SBE goal of 5%. And so the subcontractors or sub-consultants that WSP submitted did submit a 20% participation for the DBE and a 5% for the SBE. However, those numbers are based on the $2 million. So we went back and verified that all of the sub-consultants that they're proposing will be part of the $1.1 million design portion of the project. Therefore, these percentages are actually much higher than they'll actually be in 40% and 10% range in terms of DBE and SBE participation, if we never move forward with the second portion of the project. If we only do the 1.1 million, which we're proposing today, these will actually be 40% participation and 10% DBE and SBE respectively. So we are proposing approval.
Great, thank you for those efforts. I also note that United Survey is set forth as non-certified. Is there a possibility that they will become certified either as a DBE or an SBE?
We can certainly explore that with them and see if they'd be eligible, but I believe they're not eligible currently as a DBE or SBE participant.
Are there any questions for Interim Director Kramer? There being no further questions, Mr. Secretary, could you please call the roll?
All in favor of adoption of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Adopted.
Director Hernandez, could you please speak to your resolutions?
Oh, hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
How about that? You got, like, you got resolution? This is a resolution. You can speak to mine.
How about that? Members of the board, Capital Projects has 4 items on the agenda today. The first one is 53-23, which we would like to table due to subsequent resolutions, 6823 and 6923. The second one is recommendation 64-23, which unfortunately we need to hold today. And that leaves us with 6823, which is approving public improvement contract to the R.J. Platten Contracting Company for multiple park site improvements for Glendale and Forest City Parks, and approving various subcontractors in the amount of $2,250,988.17. This one has a CSB participation of 35.1%. And then 69-23 is approving public improvement contract to Platform Cement, Inc. for multiple park site improvement for Lake Park, and approving various subcontractors in the amount of $616,009.25. And this one will have a CSB participation of 30.8%. And so what happened after the first recommendation was submitted for 5323 is that the projects were over budget, so we reduced the scope for all 3 parks. That reduction in scope triggered a reevaluation by OEO. And that reevaluation based upon the new scope showed that all of the 3 companies that bid on it had a good faith effort. And as a result, we're recommending the award to Platform as the lowest bidder for Lake Park and Platten as the lowest bidder for Glendale and Forest City Park.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions regarding, yes, directors?
Director to Director DeRosa, do you intend to continue to hold 5323 or both, or reject?
We would like to, yes, we would like to reject it, please.
Because that work has been distributed to the other 3
Yes, sir.
contractors.
Yep.
So the recommendation is that we reject 5323 and we approve 6423, 6823, and 69.
Hold 6423.
So
Yep.
hold 6423.
Yes, hold 6423, yep.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you.
There being no further questions, Mr. Secretary, could you please call the roll.
If you respond aye, that will that'll be a vote no on 5323 and yes on 6823 and 6923. All in favor of adoption of the resolutions as described, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Is there any further business to come before the Board of Control today? There being no further business, I declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you.